At least 492 people have been killed in intense Israeli airstrikes targeting Hezbollah in Lebanon. Israeli military said it hit 1,300 Hezbollah targets in an operation to destroy infrastructure that the armed group had built up since the 2006 war. While thousands of Lebanese families have also fled their homes from southern Lebanon and Bekaa Valley in the east to escape the conflict. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has said that Lebanon strikes are an Israeli trap to draw Tehran into conflict with Hezbollah. He warned that Israel was trying to drag West Asia into a full-blown war by provoking Iran to join the year-long conflict between Israel and Tehran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon. France has requested an emergency UN Security Council meeting to discuss Lebanon's situation after Israel launched a major cross-border attack following nearly a year of clashes with Hezbollah militants. Addressing the United Nations General Assembly, French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot calling on all sides to avoid regional conflagration, stating that it would be devastating for everyone, especially civilians. Russia has declined to support a UN pact for the future blueprint aimed at tackling 21st century challenges from climate change and artificial intelligence to escalating conflicts and increasing inequality and poverty. Addressing the summit in New York, Russian Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Sergei Rationing said that the summit's outcome documents do not impose any obligations on the Russian Federation under provisions which did not achieve consensus. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held bilateral talks with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly sessions, where he urged his partners to help achieve a shared victory for a truly just peace. Prime Minister Modi visited Ukraine in August in the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister in modern Ukrainian history, where he urged Zelensky to sit down for talks with Russia to end the war and offered to help bring peace. Prince Harry attended an event in New York honoring Angola's leadership in landmine clearance. Speaking on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, the Duke of Sussex backed the push to complete clearing landmines in Angola, saying his late mother, Princess Diana, would have wanted campaigners to finish the job.
The other legacy award.
Donald Trump held a campaign rally in Indiana, Pennsylvania, where he hopes conservative white working-class voters can help him pull ahead of Kamala Harris. Energizing voters at the evening event, the former president urged supporters to get out and vote, but scoffed at the idea of casting early ballots, suggesting without evidence that it allowed more time to commit fraud. Japan says it has strongly protested against Moscow after a Russian reconnaissance aircraft violated the northern Japanese airspace in 3 instances on Monday. Japanese Defense Minister Minoru Kihara said that Russian Il-38 plane breached Japan's airspace above Rebon Island, just off the coast of the country's northernmost main island of Hokkaido, for up to a minute in 3 instances during its 5-hour flight in the area. He said that the incident forced the Japanese Air Force to scramble F-15 and F-35 fighter jets to send warnings, including the use of flares for the first time. The violations come a day after a joint fleet of Chinese and Russian warships sailed around Japanese northern coasts. Telegram founder and chief executive Pavel Durov said the messaging platform Telegram had removed problematic content weeks after his arrest in France on charges of failing to act against criminals who were communicating on the app, acknowledging that Telegram's search feature has been abused by people who violated the terms of service to sell illegal goods. Pavel Durov said that the platform had updated its terms and service privacy policies as well to make clear that it would share infringers' details with authorities, including internet IP addresses and phone numbers, in response to valid legal requests. Thousands of protesters, mostly indigenous Bolivians and supporters of ex-President Evo Morales, arrived on the outskirts of La Paz. The protesters were taking part in the nearly 200-kilometer march, which was marked by clashes with supporters of President Luis Arce. Addressing the crowd, Morales issued a 24-hour ultimatum to Bolivian president to solve the fuel shortage in the country or face the wrath of thousands of protesters as he led in a march on the capital, La Paz. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro met executives of the Spanish energy company Repsol at the Miraflores Presidential Palace to advance new cooperation agreements with the company. The developments come amid a diplomatic crisis with Madrid due to the questioning of the re-election of the leftist ruler. The International Monetary Fund says it is ready to discuss its controversial $2.9 billion bailout program for Sri Lanka with the country's new government. This comes after the newly sworn Sri Lankan President Dissanayake said he wanted to renegotiate the deal, which has brought unpopular austerity measures. Ecuadorian authorities have declared a new policy of energy rationing as a severe drought continues to deplete reservoirs and limit output at the country's hydroelectric plants. Homes, businesses and the manufacturing sector have been included in the electricity rationing, facing cuts of up to 14 hours in most of the country. The new policy is a follow-up on an already strained sector that 5 months ago was declared in an emergency situation. Antonio, Minister of Energy and Mines, explained the cuts were needed to keep minimum operational levels in the reservoir of the Mazar hydroelectric plant to ensure electricity production during the dry season. Efforts to control wildfires continued in the province of Cordoba in northern Argentina after 10,000 hectares were affected in the area. The Cordoba government has reported 4 active outbreaks with at least 20 homes being destroyed. Residents from Sapilla del Monte have called for help from neighboring communities, asking for hydrant planes, fire trucks and canned food. They have also demanded the government decree a state of emergency. Authorities have reported the arrest of 2 suspects accused of setting fires in the Cordoba province. The remote islands of Izu, located in the southern coast of Japan, were struck by a tsunami after an earthquake of 5.9 magnitude struck one of the remote islands in the Pacific Ocean. The Japanese Meteorological Agency said that a small tsunami, approximately 50 centimeters high, was detected in the Yen district on Hashijo Island about 30 minutes after the earthquake. Hurricane John made landfall in the southern coast of Mexico as a Category 3 storm. The high-intensity hurricane is set to bring heavy rainfall, flash floods and trigger landslides in several parts of the country. Authorities have warned residents to protect themselves against potentially deadly storm surges and torrential rain. Mexican President Obrador has urged people to evacuate and seek higher ground. Oil prices are on a rise after Chinese authorities unleashed a blitz of policy support for the economy. The prices are also influenced by the rising tensions in West Asia. Brent crude rose above $74 a barrel after dropping 0.8% on Monday. Concerns over the flagging Chinese economy and the prospect of increased supplies from OPEC have combined to undermine oil prices, which are down by about 14% so far this quarter. Donald Trump has pledged to personally recruit foreign companies and outline new incentives, including an offer of federal land. These tactics are designed to lure operations to the U.S. The Republican presidential nominee will outline a carrot and stick approach. The approach would offer a more favorable business climate while also threatening harsh tariffs on imports. The speech is the latest effort by Trump to cast himself as the best steward of the economy, seeking to seize a top issue for voters with less than 50 days before the election. The U.S. Department of Justice plans to file a lawsuit against Visa, the world's largest payments network operator. The department alleges that the company illegally monopolized the country's debit card market. In 2023, the Antitrust Division issued an investigative demand to Visa. The department was seeking documents and information about its debit card practices in the US and competition with other payment networks. Visa's rival MasterCard has previously faced similar antitrust investigations regarding its US debit program and competition with other payment networks. China's central bank announces broad monetary stimulus and property market support measures to revive its economy. This stimulus comes as the country grapples with strong deflationary pressures and in danger of missing this year's growth target. The central bank will cut the amount of cash that banks must hold as reserves, known as Reserve Requirement Ratios (RRR), by 50 basis points. The People's Bank of China will also cut the 7-day repo rate by 0.2 percentage points to 1.5%. Deposit and other interest rates will fall as well. Vietnamese and US companies have agreed to work together on energy projects, artificial intelligence and a data center. As announced by the Vietnamese government, these agreements were made through memorandums of understanding. The deals were signed at a business forum in the US ahead of a meeting between Vietnamese President and US President. They are set to meet on Wednesday during the United Nations General Assembly in New York. As per a report, Israel's technology sector has shown resilience amid the year-long conflict with Hamas. However, according to the Israeli Innovation Authority, it faces potential funding challenges that could impact the broader economy. Since the war began last year in October, Israeli tech firms have raised nearly $9 billion in funding, ranking third globally behind Silicon Valley and New York. As per the report, the investment levels have remained consistent with pre-war figures, and despite the increased risks, investors continue to see potential in local startups. As per Elon Musk, SpaceX is aiming to launch 5 uncrewed Starship missions to Mars within 2 years. Musk previously mentioned that the first Mars-bound Starships will be launched in 2 years, aligning with the next Earth-Mars transfer window. According to the SpaceX CEO, the timeline for the first crewed mission depends on the success of the uncrewed flights. If the flights land safely, crewed missions could begin in 4 years. However, if issues arise, the timeline will be extended by another 2 years. India's Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has warned about security risks in Apple devices, including iPhones, Macs and Apple Watches. The Indian Computer Emergency Response Team has flagged multiple vulnerabilities in devices running outdated software and has labelled the issue as high severity. These flaws could let attackers steal sensitive data, run unauthorized codes or bypass security controls altogether.